The Polestar 2, a fully electric hatchback that is a direct competitor to the Tesla Model 3. This one, I would argue, has the looks, more features, better premium build, and a lot more that actually makes it a really compelling car to at least to have a look at. In this review, I'm going to talk about the interior, storage, ride, handling, and a lot more. And if you enjoy content like this, please do consider subscribing because I cover, from an Australian perspective, technologies like electric vehicles and more. And yeah, subscribing is absolutely free. So let's get this review started. The front of the Polestar 2, I actually really do like. This grille that's predominantly plastic with the radar at the front here and one of the cameras is very modern. It suits that pixel sort of look because those headlights are amazing. Check out this little video that I've made on this pixel technology where they project a beam and they shape and they form and they do all sorts of really trendy stuff. So yeah, do check that out. The bonnet is forward sloping and generous and cuts into the sides of the car very nicely. You've got Thor headlights, which are LEDs, all the sensors at the bottom for the full 360-degree suite, and a car that looks definitely very European, contemporary, and very pleasing to the eye. Under the hood is a 35-litre Frunk that easily stores like not only the included charger that comes with the car, but also let's say you want to maybe carry your own BYO cable for those community charging experiences, public charging, which by the way, if you don't know about electric vehicles, there are places in Australia right now that you can get free energy, like free fuel to fill up your car. I find this Frunk to be completely serviceable. Underneath it actually houses the run flat tyre kit. There's no spare in the rear, but that also actually helps with the boot space in the back as well. So that's not a bad thing. The side profile of the Polestar 2, I really like it. Got lovely long lines, sweeping lines. It's like a sports back into that hatchback sort of zone. You got the Michelin Premium tyres on 20-inch rims. Front is mirror design that appears to be small, but is actually very comparable in size to the Tesla Model 3. The Polestar 2 comes with a large key, a waterproof key up to 10 meters, that's kind of unique and special, as well as a digital key. You can lock it just by pressing on the button out here, or to unlock it on any door, you just put your hand behind it, you pull the handle, and you're in. The back of the Polestar 2 features this small sweeping window that then cascades down into the boot with the Polestar logo, long LED lights that are very bespoke and you would know that it's actually a Polestar as soon as you see it on the road. Beneath that, another camera, the sensors, and LED lights obviously throughout. Spoiler alert, that glass, by the way, as much as it really does help accentuate that lovely, awesome posterior of this car, it doesn't actually help with the view out the back. Through the rear view mirror, it is tiny and you can't see bugger all. The very large C-pillar here doesn't help with visibility either. So you absolutely need to use the cameras that are all around this car. Getting into the boot of the Polestar 2 is very easy. You've either got the button under here, but if you've got the proximity key in your pocket or your phone, you actually do this kick and the boot will open up. With the seats up, you've got 405 litres of space. Put the seats down, that increases to 1,095. You've got an awesome ski chute that makes putting longer items into this car very easy. In total, with that 35 litres of the Frunk and this boot space, you get 1,130 litres. Sitting in the front of the Polestar 2, the best thing I could say about it is that it's engulfing. You've got very high sides here. The windows are small, especially in the back, and they don't go fully down. And it's dark, it's ash grey, it's sophisticated and contemporary, very premium. And they've actually used recycled materials in here, and you wouldn't know it. Everything that you touch is lovely. The only criticism I could have is the piano black finishes on the center console here, as well as on the steering wheel. Front and center is your pinnacle, and I absolutely love it. Reminds me of most other European brands, as well as Tesla's Model S and X. You've got a leather wrapped steering wheel, steering controls such as volume up and down, track forward and backwards, trip computer, voice assistant, and change your view. On the other side, you've got your radar cruise control buttons such as set, accelerate, decelerate, resume, follow distance, and a few other features. You've got rain sensing wipers, automatic headlights, and controlling it all, and this is unique and I'm going to do a separate video on it, so maybe click up here if you want to go see it, is the Android Automotive operating system. This is not Android Auto from your phone. No, this is actually built into the car and is connected to the cloud, so it's got a connectivity package here, and that screen not only gives you infotainment sort of stuff and some games and things like you see in a Tesla, but it also controls the car. So you get real-time readings about your electric vehicle, settings, and so forth. It's good, it's not quite there yet. And again, check out that video so you can understand what I'm talking about. Across the front, you've got 4 vents, door pocket bins with smallish holders for drinks. Like my drink bottle will not fit in almost any spot in this car whatsoever, except for this one back here, which is actually a removable one, and hilariously, this happened to me earlier. The seat is electronic and it's 12-way adjustable and has 2 memory positions for quick access here. Plus, in addition, you've got, I think, about 5 or 6 profiles through the center screen. Coming beneath that screen, you've got your wireless charging spot, USB-C charging points, then your controls for your DMIS for your front and rear windows, hazard lights, play pause for your music, volume control, your gear select, so pull back for drive, forward for reverse, neutral, as well as park, and that terrible piano finish that I mentioned earlier. What I think Polestar's missed out on here is that because they built it on an internal combustion engine platform and they put the batteries underneath, they've still got a transmission tunnel here, and the center stacked center console feels like you're part of the car, but it limits the storage possibilities. So to the left of my leg here is a little spot to put something. I don't know what you put there, but people would find things to put anywhere, right? But conversely, it's not it doesn't go through the center there, so you can't actually use it any more than that little tiny space. The glove compartment ain't half bad, but again, it's all very cramped. The rear view mirror is auto dimming, and as I mentioned earlier, very limiting in its view. But by going with the Plus pack, you also get this awesome moonroof, and it's absolutely stunning, particularly for passengers in the rear. And a really cool feature is the Polestar logo that actually goes up onto the glass and reflects back on you, just to remind you that you're driving a Polestar. In the rear of the Polestar 2, space is a mixed bag of lots of it for your head, not a lot of it for your knees, and especially not for your toes. And that's because the wheelbase is a full 14 centimeters shorter than the Tesla Model 3. So as you can see here, with the seat in my position, I've only got a little bit of knee room. I'm having to tuck my feet under the seat to actually fit in this position, and shoulder width is completely fine. But get 3 people in the back of this thing, only the kids would you fit 5 in this car. Realistically, it's a 4-person carrier. The person who sits in the center position will actually be sitting up high and a bit proud, and it's very narrow. Accommodations for the rear passengers are great, with rear heat controls, 2 USB spots, 2 vents for the rear passengers, ISOFIX for car seats, and a rear center armrest that folds down, and it's got 2 cup holders here in addition to obviously the doors, so that makes a total of 8 for this car, remembering that they are small. But nonetheless, it's actually quite cushiony and very supportive position, and with this lovely ceiling, or glass roof rather, it's a spectacular place to be. To get the Polestar 2 started is very much like Tesla Model 3 in that you got your key on you, be it your mobile phone or one of the included 2 keys. You sit down, put the foot on the brake and engage drive, that's it. No on-off button to push whatsoever. It's very clever. In the standard range model, power is delivered through the front wheels, and the power of that is 170 kilowatts or 330 newton meters of torque. If you go for the dual motor version, that number goes to 300 kilowatts of power and 660 newton meters of torque. The steering wheel is reach and tilt adjustable and very sporty feeling. Ride and handling is very refined and right up there with the best European car makers. The suspension is firm, yet not too firm that it makes it uncomfortable. There's very minimal body roll, in fact almost none whatsoever, and the suspension and coils actually work quite nicely and keeps the car nicely maintained no matter what conditions you're driving in. Steering is adjustable in 3 different ways, from light, standard to firm, but that's not actually going to affect your suspension and other sort of handling characteristics of this car. If you do go to the performance model, that actually gives you adjustable suspension in like 22 different ways, Brembo brakes, as well as a funky seatbelt color. Visibility is pretty good to the front. Got a very largish A pillar. This B pillar is in my sitting position almost in the corner of my eye, so when I'm actually checking my blind spots, I really do need to be very careful with those side mirrors. But out the back, oh my gosh, that rear view screen is like tiny. The mirror is similar size-ish, I reckon, if not maybe bigger to the Tesla Model 3s, but because the window back there is so small, it's very hard to see out of. Thankfully, Polestar 2 has incorporated one pedal driving mode in this. You've also got low mode as well as off, so you can just use it like a normal sort of standard petrol car, but don't. And also, interestingly, you've got a creep mode. And no, I'm not talking about you, Bob. No, I mean, there's actually, if I come to a standstill, and I'm just going to let that was a car doing the stop, by the way. That was not me hitting the brake. All right, pressing creep. And let me just come to a stop now. Car is creeping. I'm just trying to think of a situation where you'd like this. Can anyone explain it to me? Those people at lights who get rather impatient and they just like to edge forward slowly, hoping that the lights are going to change faster. I don't know. Insert your comment down below as to who you think might enjoy being a creep. The driver's pinnacle is feature rich. Down the bottom left hand corner, you've got your gear selector status, you've got your speed as well as indicated top speed. It actually has a camera at the top here, so it actually will tell you whether or not you're doing the right speed or not. To the bottom right, you've got your power that you're using and delivering to the car, as well as your projected range and the state of charge of the battery. If I accelerate fast, the gauge will go up towards the right in that lovely orange hue. And if I decelerate a lot, we get a band into the white space where it's actually putting electricity back into that battery, giving us more range. Being a digital instrument cluster, you've got across the top a multitude of potential warning and things that it's currently doing, as well as an automatic headlight mode, which I'll put in a separate video because it's really worthy of its own separate video, because it's absolutely amazing what these LED pixel lights can do. And yeah, check that out up here somewhere. You got your status as to whether or not it's got lane keep assist turned on. So if I press on the left hand D-pad right and then engage the center button, we are now in basically cruise control, with radar cruise control, mind you. And when the markings are sufficient, it will actually then highlight that it's now going to be lanes centering. If it disengages, it will actually buzz the steering wheel just slightly to let you know that it's actually no longer going to be steering the car for you. And in terms of annoyance factor, I actually prefer that over, let's say, the Tesla's version where it actually does a little beepy beepy sound. The radar cruise control system can do stop-start traffic, and if there's a car in front of it, when the car in front departs, the system will say to you, "Hey, do you want to get going?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do, thank you very much." Those smarts with Google integration into not only the voice assistant but also the car means that not only can you do the usual sort of things like, "What's the weather going to be tomorrow?"
Tomorrow in Taylor's Lakes, it'll be partly cloudy, with a high of 13 and a low of 8.
You can also do things like, "Turn on all the seat warmers."
Sure, turning on the seat heater.
Cool. And so that's now doing it for the entire cabin, and it's very effective, mind you. And you've also got a heated steering wheel. Forgot to mention that, very important. That digital cluster can not only have this map display, but by pressing this bottom right hand corner button, you can go to this larger speedometer version and power delivery graph system. And can I just call out, the indicator sound on this I find really annoying. It's a metallic, spiky sort of glitchy sound, which I wish I could describe it better to you, but it sounds like something like a speaker testing clippy sound. It's very annoying, and Yeah, I do hope that in the operating system they'll be able to give you options as to what that might sound like, but you can't actually change the volume of it. It's set for you. And yeah, just maybe Polestar, please think about changing that sound, because it's very grating on me, and everyone who's driven in this car has said the same thing. Something I found really weird from a brand that is renowned for being its performance division was the Polestar 2 long-range front-wheel drive version. The 0 to 100 time is 7.4 seconds, so we'll give it a go in a minute. But if you get the dual motor version, that comes down to 4.7 seconds. So it's getting up into like that Tesla long-range all-wheel drive times as well. So got a nice bit of clear road in front of me, and there's nothing I can do to say, get the car ready to do an acceleration test. I'm just going to literally mash my foot into the accelerator here, and we'll see what happens. So, ready? 3, 2, 1. It just seems to slowly accelerate. And that's it. I think what I'm experiencing is that low kilowatt power of the of the motor, and the newton meters, the torque on it, it needs more oomph. It really, really does. This performance in this car is similar to my MG ZS EV, and not that they're in the same league whatsoever. One's an SUV, this is a sports coupe hatchback sort of thing. This, I don't know, I just feel it should be a lot quicker. And when you think about the Tesla Model 3 standard range, we don't use standard range anymore, we just call it the Model 3, the entry-level version. That's just, it pales in comparison to it. Let's talk about cabin noise. I'm getting from those low profile tires a lot of tire noise through the cabin. I've got a bit over the front mirrors. And thankfully not very much from up here with that massive glass roof. Okay, coming up to 100k per hour zone. Let's get the speed up now. Now I'm picking up something around the A-pillar zone as well as a bit overhead. Not a lot, but it's definitely there. And I think in terms of similarities to the Tesla Model 3, very much the same. Maybe only marginally better, but not a lot. And perhaps if this was identical conditions, I'll probably say the same thing about the Tesla Model 3 versus the Polestar 2. I want to get home, pick up the kids, and we're going to go for a bit of a drink, and I'm going to test out the range and what this estimator is like versus what you actually will get. I'll talk about charging, and actually, whilst we're at it, the reverse camera system on this. You've got one of those sort of top-down view systems, so it's 360. It provides a mixed bag of views, like out the back and to the front, it's very clear, and to the sides, it's a little 480p. Not exactly a good quality of resolution there. It's all stitched together pretty well, and what I would recommend Google do, because this is actually, remember, the Google automotive system, this is actually Polestar. If I tap the screen, it shows me the 4 different cameras I can choose from. And I want to go, let's say, to the back one. Okay, great. Now, if I want to quickly jump to, let's say, the right or to the front, I've once again got to go press 360 back to the middle, and then I'm going to press the camera that I wanted to select. And it's kind of like, why do we have to actually step in, step out, step in, step out? Why not just, on this diagram down here, have the 4 different choices I have, and I can quickly jump straight to it? No, instead we need to press the 360 button, and then you select the camera that you want. It's not exactly well thought out just yet, but this could change easily over time, because this car, just like a Tesla, has over-the-air updates, and they're frequent and they're large. Like this, the one that I installed on Monday last week was like an hour and a half to install it. I don't know the package size, but nonetheless, it had a few improvements in there, and it will improve and change over time, which is great. but right now I still feel it's a bit half-baked. So once again, do go check out that video if you want to go a bit more in depth on this system. Okay, I've got my kids, and now we're going to navigate to a nearby local shop for two reasons. I want to talk about range, and let's see how accurate this system is. Now, in terms of claim range using WLTP, it could be between 440 to 542 kilometers of range, but as you'll soon learn, I'm not getting that at all. But first, let's give this a go. This one here? I think so too. Yeah, and it's saying it's going to take us 13 minutes, 7.6 kilometers, and we'll have 54% state of charge of battery when we arrive. So we'll see if that really does work out, shall we? We've arrived about 14 minutes later, and indeed we've got 54% state of charge left, which is what it said we're going to arrive with, which is great. Now, the issue, that range is not realistic. As per the EV database, this is more likely what you're going to get. And in my driving, I'm actually running about 19.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers after almost 360 kilometers. And yeah, that means that this car can only do about 380 kilometers on one charge. Is that an issue? Normally not. If I was going to do a Melbourne-Sydney trip, I'll be stopping every few hours anyway, so that would be, what, 220 kilometers of range between charges. But otherwise, when you get home, that's when you're going to do like your daily top-up with your good old routine of always be charging. For most people, they'll be charging their car at home through any standard wall outlet, and included with the Polestar 2 is a 10 amp 2.3 kilowatt charger. This thing will actually give you around 10 kilometers of additional range per hour, meaning that if you're like the average Australian and you travel 40 kilometers per day, you'll be able to replace that lost range in about 4 hours. Press this, open it up, plug it in, leave it there for about 4 hours, so by the time you've had dinner, you've gone to bed, the car's already charged and it's ready to go, having replaced that lost energy during the daytime. It's like having a petrol station in your own home. It is the most awesome, liberating, freeing thing you can ever do. And you've seen the prices of petrol lately, right? Yeah? Fuel excise cut doesn't mean nothing, because yeah, petrol's only going to go up and up. And the way you can control your fuel bill is by getting an electric vehicle and charging at home. And so there you have it, the Polestar 2. I think they have got an absolute winner here. You are getting that European premium luxurious finish. The build quality, the materials that they're using, the refinement that Tesla can't even go anywhere near is absolutely present here. Sure, you don't have Tesla Autopilot, the supercharger network, but you do have other features that are definitely over and above and beyond what Tesla is currently offering. So if you want to see what the pros and cons are, perhaps go check out this video up here where I compare a Tesla Model 3 with the Polestar 2 directly. And you'll be surprised as to who comes out the victor in that video. My only wish for this car is that I wish it had more power, which is why I'd recommend you go for the long-range dual motor variant, which gets its performance specs right up there, almost identical to Tesla's Model 3. The Android Automotive experience, I think, will improve and season over time, and Polestar is doing here what Tesla has already set up, and these guys are very quickly catching up. So I would highly recommend you go out, give one a try, because you'll be pleasantly surprised as to how awesome this car really is. Okay, well, that's it for today's episode. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, give me a subscribe. It's absolutely free. And you want to see behind the scenes content, news, polls, and stuff that I just don't show you here on YouTube, please come and join me on Patreon, where you get all this and a lot more from as little as $2.50 per month. And as per usual, you be good and you be green.